So you got yourself one of them real cool JDM little K trucks or K vans, and you've never had one of these before, and you don't even know where to start. Well, I'm gonna take you through some stuff that's gonna be important to you before and during your very first ride. So let's start with the basics. Before you drive any motor vehicle, before you assume that anything is in good working order, you should absolutely, positively, always check the fluids. And what that means in the JDM vehicles is checking the oil and checking the coolant for absolutely certain. Now, in these K trucks, you're gonna find a panel under this carpet in the back, and then in the Subarus, you're also gonna have a little button back there. You're gonna press that button, and that's gonna pull down to reveal your Clover 4-cylinder motor. Now, different K vehicles, have 3 cylinders and 4 cylinders. The modern ones, or the more modern ones, are all 660 cc's. They're all 4-strokes. So what you're going to be looking for is you're going to be looking for a dipstick. And the dipstick on this one is right here. You're going to pull it out. You're going to check it. You're going to make sure that when the engine is cold, that the oil level is between where it should be on the lines for the oil. You're going to check the belt to make sure the belt is in good shape. The belt is right there. Grab it, hang on to it, give it a shake. Then the coolant level. This is the coolant overflow reservoir, okay? So we can see on this one when I tap on it that the coolant level's right there, which it is marked low and full. This is also to be checked when the vehicle is cold. Now, on these Subarus, up here is a pressurized coolant cap. Do not remove that if the vehicle is hot unless you want to be bathed in really, really hot coolant. This is where you put the oil in, obviously. Obviously, go do a walk around the vehicle, check everything out, make sure everything is in good repair, because you don't want to find out the hard way that you've got a loose wheel bearing or bad lug nuts or something like that. Give the vehicle a complete walk around before you get in and drive, all right? And that's what you're going to do every time you drive a new vehicle, any vehicle you've never driven before. Make sure the door latches work, make sure things open and close the way they're supposed to. You know, this particular one, car doors are locked on this side, but this particular one, this is the Subaru Sambar Dias. We're not going to get too much into the whys, wheres, and what fors. We have other videos to do that. We're going to talk about getting in, checking it out, driving it for the very, very first time. Now, when you get in here, you're going to be presented with one of like 3 different kinds of transmissions. The obvious is the automatic. Those will speak for themselves. Then you're going to get either a 5-speed or a 6-speed, and this is the confusing part. The 6-speed, you're going to see that this has a button for 4-wheel drive, and it also has what's called extra low. Now, when you put it into extra low, no matter what, whether or not you've turned on the 4-wheel drive or not, when you put it into extra low, it's automatically going to light up the 4-wheel drive light. It's automatically going to put the electric transaxle into 4-wheel drive. So do not be driving around in that extra low unless you absolutely need to. And also, don't be driving around in 4-wheel drive unless, well, the traction's needed. Okay, dashboard stuff. I'm going to turn the key on lightly so you can see the gauges do tend to move. If you're driving the vehicle for the first time, go ahead and turn off all the stuff, because you don't need, until you're experienced with the vehicle and until you've proven the vehicle's reliable, you don't need to be calling into service thermostats and cooling systems and air conditioning systems and stuff like that. So turn those things off for your very first ride. Make sure things like the windshield defroster and stuff, make sure they're turned off. Turn off all your accessory systems, okay? And then hopefully the car will start when you turn the key. Now, if it doesn't, don't be surprised. They may have been sitting on the dock for a very, very long time. You may discover things like this light switch is not working, but if you shake it a few times, you'll see that it does start working, and that's just because these things have usually sat for a long time and the contacts are dirty, okay? So you can see that's not uncommon when you get one of these JDM cars. Don't be afraid to cycle through the stuff and, you know, operate the switches for the things that they do. And it is one of those things that, yes, they have sat for a while, and they're at least 25 years old. Okay, now we're going to talk about driving this thing. Real easy. A seatbelt on for safety, especially if you've never driven one of these before. They are weird, and you're driving on the wrong side of the road. You're probably not used to this. Okay, engage first gear, let the clutch out, really get a feel for it. If the thing's been sitting for a long time, the clutch may be grabby, it may be biting at you, so go gentle. You're gonna notice that just now I shifted, I was barely going 3 miles an hour. And that's because on these vehicles, especially the four-wheel drive ones, they are geared super low. Now this one has the EL, the extra low gear, and you would literally only use that for getting yourself super unstuck, towing or carrying a super heavy load. It is not the kind of thing you're going to use every day. In fact, in these vehicles, these ones that have a manual transmission, it is totally okay if you're not fully loaded down for bear to start these things in second gear. And they start in second gear really well. I'll do a second gear start right now. You can hear that the motor's not stressed or lugging. It's just very happy to go right into a second gear start. No big deal. In fact, if I didn't tell you that was a second gear start, you just assume that was a normal first gear start. So it's okay to start these things in second gear if you're not fully loaded down. Now, again, riding position, driving position. I am on the right-hand side of the car. Okay, I'm in fourth gear already. I'm going an indicated 55 kilometers per hour. That's about 30. So what am I doing? I'm switching into 5. That's top gear. And I'm in top gear, and I am not yet going 45 miles per hour. Okay, so we're gonna get it up to about 40 miles an hour here. So we're at 40 miles per hour, and what do I hear? What does my seat of the pants tachometer tell me? My seat of the pants tachometer tells me that this is about the RPM I'd like to drive this car in. I wouldn't like to drive it at a much higher rate of speed than this, because this 660cc motor feels like this is about where it wants to be. And that's not wrong. This is a city vehicle. And because it's a city vehicle and it has the 4x4 and the 5-speed, in this case 5-speed with extra low transmission, the gearing on these is low. If you are planning to drive this thing on the freeway, do not choose the 4x4 with the manual transmission and the super low gear. Honda Acti does a version of their Acti called the Attack. And the Attack is the same configuration. It has the super low first and super low reverse. Those cars, and I've had a couple of them, they are geared crazy low. And they're wonderful for working on the farm. They're wonderful for picking up loads of hay and other heavy items because they've got a really heavy capacity. They can carry a lot of weight, much nicer than a Gator or a Razor or other open type vehicle. But when it comes to actually getting on the road and driving into town, these things are geared super low. So right now, great example, we've been driving along, I'm in top gear, 5th gear, and what are we saying? Okay, this is a 35 mile an hour road. I have yet to go over 40, and the car feels totally happy. It feels like it's going the speed it wants to go. Now, I've got a little bit of an open stretch here. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up a tiny bit. Now, we're not even gonna get it to 50 miles an hour. In fact, right now, we're going about the equivalent of the US 45 miles per hour. And again, feels like, pretty happy with this, but it does feel a little rushed. So keep that in mind. If you want a car to be driven on the freeway, if you want a K-truck or a K-van that you're going to be driving on the freeway more frequently, you may want to take a look at the Honda Actis, the standard Actis, the 5-speeds. Those are geared pretty good. You can get those on the freeway at about 60 to 70 miles per hour. They don't scream too badly. The Daihatsu, they have been really good. The Daihatsu Hi-Jets, they seem to be geared, and again, go for the ones that have more of a non-utilitarian look to them, or a non-utilitarian design. What the key is you're looking for something that is designed with higher speeds in mind. When you see things like the extra low gearbox and the 4-wheel drive, you know that this vehicle's been designed to be more of a work vehicle and less of a going on at higher speeds vehicle. Keep in mind, national speed limit for Japan is 100 kilometers per hour, and they do believe in that. They feel like it's everybody's job to maintain that safe operation on the freeway and to keep the vehicles driving at a sedate pace, good safety for everybody. They feel like it's all of their responsibility, everybody's responsibility, to give everyone a safe driving experience. So there's not the demand in Japan that there is in the United States to drive at a higher rate of speed. I know today, going into work, our speed limit on the freeway that I drive in is 60 miles per hour, and every single person was going about 70, 75. Sorry about that, guys. The acceleration was just too brutal for my lack of a phone mount. But not joking at all. be aware of that stuff. When you're driving these things, remember that your natural instinct or your natural reaction is going to be that your left turn signal is on the left stalk. Your turn signal's on the left stalk. Not the case in Japanese vehicles. That's your wipers. Get used to the fact that you're going to be flipping that turn signal and turning your wipers on quite frequently. The turn signal is on the right stalk. You're shifting with your left hand. The footwork is the same. Your left foot will be doing the clutch, your right foot will be doing the gas. And that's normal on all the Japanese cars that I've imported. Don't expect to find anything different. You will see in the Japanese trucks, now this is a high top, this is a high roof, so you'll notice that in this vehicle, we've got a lot of room above my head. There's no shortage of that. I'd also like to remind you guys that I am 6 foot and 1 inches tall, and I have got no room, I've got no shortage of room sitting here in the driver's station. My feet are very comfortable, my knees aren't hitting the dashboard, my knees aren't hitting the steering wheel. You notice my head's not hitting the glass like it did in the AutoZam. I'm very, very comfortable in here. There's plenty of room for 4 full-size adults and their gear. So these are an excellent choice if you want a really fun, fuel-efficient, quirky, fun, neat vehicle that you can drive around the city and have a blast with. These things are really the ticket. Now, yeah, they're not going to be a warehouse of extra power, and they're not going to be super fast, but they are going to be good for street use. Check your local legislation, because in a lot of states, there are regulations, there are limitations for K-trucks. Sometimes they will say things like they can't be operated on regular highways. They can only, or divided highways, they can only be accessed on what they call surface streets or 35-mile-an-hour roads. So that if a road is over 35 miles per hour, they don't want you taking your K-truck on that road. Now, the way we title ours in the state of Ohio, they just have a regular title, and so there's no restrictions built into it. Ohio doesn't have any legislation that says I can't take this on the freeway. It does meet the rules for a freeway authorized vehicle in the state of Ohio. But check your local laws, because you don't want to end up getting something like this, getting it home and finding out that the police have got crosshairs on you because you're trying to drive the vehicle in a way that they don't agree you should be able to do it. So I did want to bring you back up to speed. Here's another update. I want to let you guys have some of the in-car audio. And we are just now hitting 54 miles per hour. Yeah, so that's 54 miles per hour. And you can tell, a little bit rushed. There's no doubt in my mind this car could go 60. There's no doubt in my mind this car could go 60 for a long while. But what I can tell you is the car is definitely not thrilled doing 60. So, if you guys have any other questions about K-trucks or K-cars or vans like we've got here, get in touch with us. We're real easy to find. Cleveland Moto. It's www.clevelandmoto.com. We run a podcast. You'll find that. You can't help but find that, where we talk about Japanese motorcycles and scooters and stuff like that. But really, for the JDM stuff, for the K-cars, the K-trucks, yeah, give me a shout anytime you want. Reach out to us at the shop. The number's 216-795-5580. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have about K-trucks. Remember, we import these things. We've done over 40 of these JDM vehicles that we've imported. We're getting pretty good at it. Knock on plastic, right? So just be aware, check your stuff out, do a lot of research. Do not try to bring one in yourself if you are not already a bonded customs importer. You will need to work with a customs broker. The worst thing that can happen is you to just be like, well, I went to the website, I clicked on the thing, and I wired them some money or gave them my credit card number, I PayPal'd them. All I gotta do now is go to the dock and pick it up. That is wrong on so many levels, and we're not gonna get into that, but you will experience nightmares. The stuff I had to learn how to do on the very first car I imported years ago would surprise any of you. So when possible, work with somebody who knows how to do the paperwork, has the cars in here legally, and is making you completely aware of what you're getting. There's no shortage of places to buy a K car or a K truck like this that don't have a title. They're designed for off-road use only, or they're imported for off-road use only. These vehicles that we do put titles on them. That's just something that I do. It's my standard of operation. So, but we're a little different than other places. So just do your homework, check that stuff out, and really don't be afraid to ask too many questions. It's a really fun thing. I want everyone to have this experience. It is so much cooler to drive a fun and quirky vehicle than it is just like your run-of-the-mill, you know, Honda Civic. So yeah, give us a shout.